Well, welcome everyone. We are happy to have John Walker join us again today for some mindfulness opportunities. So I'm going to turn it over to him to get us going for today. Thanks for being here.
It looks like Tang Li has a question. Am I seeing a digital question there with your hand raised?
Bang, do you have a question? No question. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Unraise it.
Sorry, I didn't want to. All right, well, welcome to session two. At some point, I want to do at least a little bit of a check-in once we kind of see who tends to come here. I do see Sherry down there in the corner. Hi, Sherry. Good to see you, or see your name. But I think I want to cover some some stuff here today. I was thinking about doing the inner critic, but sometimes that can take us to troubling places. So I thought today it might be a good idea to talk about how self-compassion approaches the idea of difficult emotions. And you know, as we do this more, I also want to invite you guys to maybe make suggestions or anything. Maybe let April know if something's active, or even at the beginning of these classes, let me know. But I feel like since, as I mentioned last time, mindfulness is kind of tricky because you need to find time to meditate and it takes a while, whereas self-compassion can be used in the moment. These practices are really handy right in the midst of things. You don't have to find time to meditate. And I'd like to maybe get a baseline of, last week we talked about the idea of just soothing touch, just, hand over the heart or hand on the cheek or on the shoulder, or, different ways that we can just remind ourselves physically that we're caring for ourselves to kind of trigger some of those nurturing pathways as opposed to the fight or flight pathways that seem to be running most of the time. And so last time I covered just some of the basics like a self-compassion break and soothing touch, and difficult emotions are, well, there's a reason we call them difficult, right? So I thought I'd offer this practice to see what you think. And as always, if you're interested or want a handout on this, audio files, maybe just let April. Oh, I'll send April a handout on this. So I think I will have to come up with a more systematic way of doing that at some point. But in any event, I'll start with probably doing my favorite thing, which is talking. So bear with me. But clearly we're constantly dealing with difficult emotions. Stress, fear, anger, frustration, all that stuff. And one of the things in both mindfulness and self-compassion is to remember that there's a reason those things are there. There's some fundamental goodness to them, as uncomfortable as they can be. And certainly with the difficult emotions, it's this idea that they're valuable signals, okay? Just like warning lights on the car. Our heart is trying to tell us something. And if we react to them the way we usually do, which is, resistance, trying to fight them, or just ruminating nonstop about them, or suppressing them, or simply feeling like we don't have time to address them, well, they kind of get stuck inside of us. So it's crucial to be able to work with them, to kind of hold them and attend to the issues that they're telling us, that they're raising, with a little bit of self-care, all right? And there's three ways we do that. It's not like this is special to self-compassion practices, but we make it very explicit in self-compassion. And first is just labeling the emotion, and then figuring out where the emotion is in the body, and then something we call soft soothe and allow. But before we try this, just a reminder that these things aren't techniques, insofar as we're not trying to directly get rid of difficult emotions, as much as we may like that and want that to happen. But it's an important part. The things, these practices like the self-compassion break, or even putting your hand over your heart, or the practice I'll do today, can help us feel better in the moment, okay? And savor that if it happens. That's great. But of course, if something really hard hits and we're trying to make it go away with some sort of technique, and we don't automatically feel better, we can think that this stuff isn't working and then give up on it. Okay, so again, the reminder with self-compassion is that we're all caring and compassionate people, but probably largely for cultural reasons, we separate ourselves from our own circle of caring. So what we're trying to do with these exercises is, maybe establish a new relationship to emotional suffering that often does lead to feeling better over time. But even if it doesn't, it changes how we react. Okay, and one of the problems is that emotions, particularly difficult ones, tend to land on us like a ton of bricks or 2 tons of mud. Boom, we're just swamped in them, and then we're swept away before we know it, reacting in habits and patterns that it probably arose in childhood. So here we're going to learn how to deconstruct the emotion, okay, into manageable parts. Oh, what is the emotion? Oh, what does it feel like? What is it doing in my body? And then can we provide ourselves some nurturing and support? So by breaking it down into separate parts, sometimes we can slow the whole process down and just make it more manageable rather than getting hit with one big lump. So the first thing briefly, this idea of labeling the emotions, the idea of naming it, you can tame it. I mean, the neuroscience is pretty clear. Simply naming the emotion with a little bit of distance gives us some space around it. And then the idea of sensing what the emotion is like in the body for 2 reasons. One, our minds are often just all over the place. We can't even keep track of the thoughts as they often spiral us down into despair about the emotion. But our bodies are like a capacitor. They're building charge, they're releasing charge, they move more slowly. So we can check into the body and really get a sense of what's going on without being lost in thought. And also, it engages curiosity. There's something really powerful and rewarding when we pause and just get curious about how the emotion is showing up. It can actually not only give us a little space around it, but begin to disarm it a little bit. And finally, just again, making that U-turn rather than being harsh with ourselves or judgmental or, oh my God, here's this emotion. Everyone else can handle this better and I can't. Why am I this way? Just that U-turn of going, hey, this hurts. This hurts. Can I just be nice to myself? And then again, if you try this practice and you don't feel better, that's okay. You're really gathering that intention to begin to treat yourself with care. So I'll do this practice, and it does involve, like many of these practices, bringing up a little bit of suffering. I'll just remind you to not go to the most intense thing, maybe mild to moderate. I'll also invite you to turn off your cameras if you wish. Sometimes coming to this kind of practice in the middle of the day can be difficult or awkward. So please feel free to do whatever you want in terms of the camera. Hopefully you're in a reasonably comfortable position. And why don't we just go ahead and try this, okay? And as always, with any of these practices, if you find that it's bringing up stuff or very uncomfortable or not working for you, just let go, okay? Feel free to just bail out of the whole meeting here and take a walk or call a friend or have a cup of tea, whatever. It's all about what kind of self-care you need in any given moment. But as best you can in the middle of your workday, see if you can find a comfortable position, that ever-elusive comfortable position. You can close your eyes, either fully or partially, and maybe start with taking a few big breaths, really conscious breaths. Feel that lifting, that rising, opening the chest after a day of staring at the screen, and then long, slow release. Really let the long exhalation soften your body from the head down to your toes. Maybe do that a couple times. Don't hyperventilate, slowly. It just kind of resets the body, brings in the parasympathetic nervous system, the calming part, and then letting your breath return to normal. And I'll invite you to start this by simply placing your hand on your heart or another soothing place, something that means something to you, just for a little bit, to remind yourself that, hey, you're here, you are in the room, and that you too are worthy of kindness, and that you really are here for yourself, letting your body know with this. Breathing, checking in for any tightness in the body that you can soften. And you can set your arm down if you wish or keep it there. But I'm going to ask you to bring to mind a mild to moderately difficult situation that you're facing, in your life right now. Maybe you're worried about some onerous task or, working with a difficult person or just generally feeling stressed about something. Again, a reminder, don't choose a very difficult problem, okay? Or actually don't even choose a trivial problem, just a problem that can generate a little stress in your body when you think of it. And then, clearly visualize the situation. Who was there? What was said? If it was just something that happened to yourself, just the location, what happened or what might happen. Just bringing it to life in your mind's eye. And as you relive this situation, notice if any emotions are arising. And if so, see if a label for the emotion comes up, a name. Maybe anger, sadness, frustration, confusion, fear. Just labeling that. And if you're having many emotions, see if you have a name for the strongest emotion. And just maybe repeating the name of the emotion, but into yourself in a gentle, understanding voice. As if you were validating for a friend what he or she was feeling. What you're doing here is you're really validating yourself. Yeah, this is longing. This is grief. Anger is here. Just kindly naming the emotion. Now I'm going to invite you to expand your awareness to your body as a whole. Okay? Again, recalling the difficult situation again, and maybe scan your body for where you feel it most easily. Just scanning and maybe stopping where you feel a little tension or discomfort. Maybe tightness in the shoulders, warmth in the chest, a contraction. Just notice what's feelable right now. Nothing more. Getting really curious. What does this emotion feel like? It often, maybe a band across the chest or tightness in the belly. And just watch it. As you sense where it's showing up in the body, just see how it changes. Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? We're really just engaging our curiosity about this, letting go of the story and seeing what it's like. And just noticing if it shifts or if it changes. You have to recharge the story to explore the emotion. All this is just stuff to note. Just again, engaging curiosity here. And if anything's uncomfortable or difficult, again, feel free to disengage from the practice. And see if there is a place where the emotion stands out most. Could be one area of tightness. Could be kind of diffuse. But wherever it is, see if you can soften into that location in the body. Okay. Just letting the muscles soften, letting them relax, just as if you were slipping into a warm bathtub or hot tub. Again, breathing, just softening. Softening any tightness, any reaction to the feelings that are arising in your body from this emotion. Remember, we're not trying to change anything. We're not trying to feel better. We're just trying to hold this suffering in a tender way. If it's really big, difficult, maybe just softening around the edges, letting the emotion be there and softening how your body is responding to it, around it. So another part of this is soothing yourself because of this difficult situation, this idea of softening, soothing. And as part of that, if you wish, maybe placing your hand over the part of your body that feels uncomfortable. And just feeling the warmth and gentle touch of your hand, letting the intention of caring for yourself, almost like visualizing a flow, a light, a glow coming from your hand into your body, into this area where you feel it, or putting your hand to another place that feels comforting and soothing. Sometimes it helps to think about your body as you experience this as if it were the body of a beloved child or pet. Just this idea of soothing. Soothing. Offering yourself soothing. And then finally, are there some comforting words that you might need to hear? You know, sometimes it helps to just imagine you had a friend who was struggling in the exact same way. What would you say to your friend? What would you want them to hold in their heart, the message, to show them that you care? Maybe something like, I'm so sorry you feel this way, or I care deeply about you. Whatever words you might offer to your friend, can you offer yourself a similar message? Like, wow, yeah, it's hard to feel this. May I be kind to myself. May I know that I'm okay. Again, just words that you need to hear. Sometimes it helps to gently rock or sway. Again, just naming the emotion, what's here, sensing it into the body and offering your support, softening around it, soothing, and allowing. Sometimes just saying the words, softening, soothing, and allowing. Because we're just allowing the discomfort to be there, making room for it, letting it be as big as it needs to be. See if you can even release the need to make it go away. Just the struggle to fight, to make it end. Just allowing yourself to be just as you are, just like this, if only for this moment. Again, softening, soothing, and allowing. Softening, soothing, and allowing. And then if you're ready, you can let go of the practice and just focusing on your body as a whole. And just allowing yourself to feel whatever you feel, to be exactly as you are in this moment. And we'll go ahead and end that practice. So again, I can provide a handout on that, and it has a link to an audio file if you want to try that. Again, the neat thing about that is you can do that as an extended practice, as I did, or it's something you can drop in the moment. You know, when you're triggered, you know, oh, what's happening here? Oh, wow, I'm really getting tight. Well, where am I feeling this? Ah, okay, can I just soften and soothe around it, even if it just for 30 seconds? So you maybe get a chance to hold the emotion rather than having the emotion yank you around. I'm curious if people want to comment. Any observations on that? Because you know, people have different experiences. We can kind of learn from each other, and sometimes challenges come up too. And since it is the middle of a busy day and lunch hour, if you want to pass or not talk about it, that's fine too. But I'd just be curious.
I generally hold my stress in my neck and shoulders, but this year I have noticed a lot of that in my face. And so like my jaw is clenched most of the time. And so I appreciated the opportunity just to sit and notice and soften. Like I love when you use that word, because it probably gets me to release that tension better than if you were to say release the tension, but just softening. And then the opportunity to engage in touch. I did not like putting my hand over my chest, but I just put my hands together, and that was nice. But then when I touched my face, that felt, it felt like I was giving myself a massage, and all I did was touch. And so I just really appreciated that opportunity.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you, April, for sharing that, because that's a lovely and poignant share, because you basically did my job for me, or because it really is about looking for all these ways we can signal to our body that it actually is okay to tap into that nurturing pathways rather than the fear pathways, and the touch and the wording, finding the right words. Just because a wording is offered in a meditation doesn't mean it's going to resonate with you. So I always encourage people that if a word doesn't resonate, pause and find out what works for you. There's often words that you can land on your heart with an awe. But that's great. Thank you for that. Anybody else? And I'm sorry. Yes, Ann.
My tension is normally in my head and neck, like April's, but in this past year, I've also felt queasiness in my stomach quite often that's related to stress, and I haven't figured out a way to get past that one. I can actually relax my head and shoulders because that's a natural one for me. I do have trouble getting the soothing or the softening with that tension in the lower.
Yeah. So may I ask, what is it? I hope this isn't too personal, but what emotions arise when you feel that in the abdomen? You have the emotion that's triggering things, and then when the abdominal issues come up, what is something added to that, or?
The word that comes to mind is anxiety.
Yeah.
It's not quite fear, but there's sort of like a low grade anxiety that I've been trying to figure out how to get past.
Yeah. And the neat thing about the human mind is it can have one issue and then it can immediately start laying extra issues on it, and then, at least for me, then I'm lost. But yeah, so the self-compassion invitation would be to, okay, let go of the initial stressor and focus on the reaction to the abdominal distress. Again, it's frustrating because the approach is not to make it get better, but just to see if you can practice bringing that natural caring to yourself again. Right? None of this is a quick fix, right? These things took decades to build up. So, but I wish you well, and I thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Anybody else? Or I can continue doing these different practices. Like I said, there's one for the inner critic, one for caregiving, fatigue, and burnout, one for equanimity. Or is there anything you guys particularly want to hear about? Because we are doing more of the self-compassion oriented, which tends to be usable in the moment. But if you want some mindfulness, spacey stuff, we can do that too. I shouldn't say that. I don't mean to minimize mindfulness. It's just, all right. Well, again, feel free to email April if you have any suggestions or anything. I feel like, you guys have tons of emails and meetings and bureaucratic forms to fill out, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but I'm happy to hang around if there's more questions or anything. What a range time. Oh, thanks. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you want me to come speak to your class again, just let me know. Healthcare and or mindfulness and self-compassion.
Well, thank you so much, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And thanks to everyone who came. Our next one is Wednesday, October 20, I believe, right? So same time, same place.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up. So unless you had anything else to talk about, April and Becca, should we sign off and then I'll send you the links? Okay. All right.
Oh, I
Well,
will say real quickly that these things are recorded and are posted on the Religious Life website. I'm remembering now that I think I have to go in and approve what my student posted. So I don't think last week's is visible, even though it is technically there. So they will be on there and the handouts will be on there as well. So you can direct other folks to the recordings or yourself if you want to revisit them.
okay, that's great. Jenny.
Great, Becca. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye, you guys. Thanks again for giving me the time. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.